Thanks for joining us for CBN News Today. I'm Charlene Israel.
And I'm Ephraim Graham. After days of street battles between the army, the Muslim Brotherhood, and other pro-Morsi supporters, Egypt's cabinet announced it is considering banning the Islamic group. The move comes after the worst bloodshed in Egypt's modern history. More than 79 died over the weekend, and the overall toll in 4 days of violence is at nearly 900 people dead. As Egyptians wonder what's next, the debate over what to do now extends to the U.S. Sunday, Egypt's chief military leader, General Abdel el-Sisi, made his first public statement. He reached out to the Muslim Brotherhood but said the army would oppose them if necessary. Sisi said the army was the guarantor of Egypt's stability, and a presidential spokesman said despite Western media reports, most Egyptians were united. Meanwhile, some Egyptian Christians made their way to Sunday services over the weekend, despite violent attacks on them earlier in the week.
I was constantly verbally abused for being a Christian. Even on the public buses, they would insult me for being Christian and accused us of being infidels, and that we as Christian people deserve to be wiped off the face of this country because they believe that we do not deserve to live in this country.
Christians bore the brunt of retaliation by the Muslim Brotherhood and Morsi supporters following the army crackdown on the Muslim Brotherhood last week. Dozens of churches, an orphanage, and Christian institutions like Egypt's Bible Society were attacked or burned.
We need to pray for our brothers and sisters in Christ in Egypt. This is a very difficult time for them, unprecedented in modern history in Egypt, this type of massive attack against Christians, their institutions, churches.
El-Sisi said the government would help restore and rebuild the churches that were burned and attacked. In the U.S., Egypt's turmoil has sparked a debate within the government if the U.S. should continue its more than $1 billion military aid to Egypt.
There are no good choices in Egypt. The fact is there's no good guys here. But of the two, I think there's more opportunity to protect American interests if we work with the military and continue our relationship with the military. We have to have access to the Suez Canal. Al-Qaeda should not be allowed to gain a foothold. The treaty with Israel should be enforced. I don't think that can be done with the Muslim Brotherhood. It possibly can be done with the military.
The major question facing Egypt now is the future of the Muslim Brotherhood. Will they stop their protest or continue their fight against Egypt's army and pursue their dreams of an Islamic state? Egypt is under martial law, which includes an 11-hour curfew from 7 in the evening until 6 in the morning.
Last week, Israel released 24 imprisoned Palestinian terrorists as a precondition to restarting peace talks. Among those freed, the murderer of an American citizen. Now, some are calling for the U.S. to pursue justice. CBN correspondent Julie Stahl has that story.
Israel released 26 Palestinian terrorists as a gesture to the Palestinian Authority. Among them, Mustafa al-Hajj, who stabbed a U.S. citizen to death.
The Zionist Organization of America is particularly concerned about, let's say, the family of Freddie Rosenfeld, who was killed in 1989 by Palestinian terrorists. One of his two killers was released as part of this first batch.
Jeff Daub heads the ZOA offices in Israel. He says he wants to see American laws upheld and justice served.
There are a number of laws that explicitly calls upon the U.S. government to pursue, to capture, to bring to justice, if need be extradite, terrorists or murderers of American citizens overseas.
Daub says the FBI has never initiated an investigation of Americans killed by Palestinian terrorists. He says many Israelis are upset about the release.
They thought that justice was being served, but somehow it has escaped them. This is not something, as far as most Israelis are concerned, that should be needed in order to bring the other party to the negotiating table.
House Majority Leader Eric Cantor is leading a delegation of Republican congressmen on a fact-finding mission to Israel. He said freeing terrorists was a difficult decision for Israel to make.
It is inconceivable, I think, that any other government would be expected to do something like that. I think it underscores the need for a cultural shift on the part of the Palestinians when we see them celebrating in the streets of Ramallah and elsewhere on the release of terrorists with bloods on their hands.
Cantor is no stranger to terror. His 16-year-old nephew, American Daniel Waltz, was killed along with 10 others in a suicide bombing in Tel Aviv in 2006.
That is the problem, I believe, in the whole prospects for peace here in this region. There has to be a willingness on the part of both sides to respect one another's right to exist.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
New mosques are popping up across the country. Virginia Beach, Virginia is now poised for its first mosque. A city planning commission has voted for the Crescent Community Center project to go forward in a rural part of the city. In neighboring Maryland, the government of Turkey is building a $100 million mega mosque. The Turkish American Culture and Civilization Center will cover 15 acres in the town of Lanham. Earlier this year, Turkey's Islamist prime minister attended the groundbreaking ceremony for the mosque. Meanwhile, the Clarion Project reports about 1,200 mosques are now operating in the U.S., and almost 80% of them were built within the last 12 years. The majority of those mosques are led by Wahhabi clerics from the same branch of Islam that Osama bin Laden followed.
Minority and low-income parents are more likely to see serious problems in their schools. An Associated Press and Center for Public Affairs research poll finds those problems include bullying, out-of-date technology, and old textbooks. And there is a division in opinions on the reason why. 61% of Black parents saw inequality in school funding as a problem, while only 32% of white parents felt that way. 50% of Hispanic parents said a lack of computers and technology was a problem, while only 34% of Black parents and 16% of white parents said the same.
Heroin use is on the rise. The drug that was once relegated to the homeless and rock stars is now popping up at high school parties in the suburbs. Lori Johnson tells us heroin's popularity is directly related to the increase in prescription drug abuse.
Millions of American adults and teenagers are addicted to the prescription painkillers Vicodin and OxyContin, so much so that they'll do anything to get them, even kill. But finding the drugs and paying for them is harder and harder. Sometimes just one pill sells for $80. So addicts, like this woman, often switch to the painkiller's cousin, heroin, because it's easier to find, cheaper, and packs a bigger punch than painkillers.
If you hear about something that's like that, only 100 times stronger, I can definitely see the appeal.
But the appeal fades quickly. Soon it takes more of the drug to get the same high, that feeling that becomes the only thing in life that matters.
It's horrible. It's horrible because you don't want to do it anymore, but you just don't really have any choice.
Rehab centers report a rise in heroin abusers, especially ones from middle-class homes, because heroin has become more available in places you'd never expect.
It's cheaper for kids. I mean, because that's the question you ask. Why did you start with heavier drugs than alcohol? And most of them tell you it's easier to get than alcohol.
Therapist Linda Mintle says there's only one way to break the bondage of heroin addiction.
This is not about willpower. You cannot will yourself off of this type of biological pull that is in the brain. So you really need to have something bigger than yourself, and the transcendent power of God, the relationship with Christ, who is in you, who can help you, who can strengthen you to do all things, is absolutely necessary in any addiction treatment.
Mendel says people can die from a heroin overdose the very first time they use it. She recommends parents talk to their kids about the dangers of heroin and intervene if they see changes in their child's personality, weight, friends, or schoolwork. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Germany will be the first country in Europe to introduce an intermediate gender designation on birth certificates. On November 1st, the option to select blank in addition to the standard choices of male or female will become available. This would allow parents to opt out of determining their baby's gender, allowing those born with characteristics of both sexes to choose what gender to become later in life. Under the new law, adults can also opt out of the gender binary altogether.
Coming up, from shoddy workmanship to deceptive sales practices, the top complaints that have consumers up in arms.
Today we're on a field trip to discover what inflation is doing to our paper money. In this hand is a $20 bill, and in this hand is a $20 US gold coin. They used to have the same buying power, but how much can they buy today? In this first basket is what my $20 bill buys: milk, bread, peanut butter, and jelly. And here's what one $20 gold coin will buy: 6 baskets full, worth nearly $2,000, almost 100 times more food, simply by owning gold dollars instead of paper dollars. History shows that the gold coins have been the best way to beat the rising cost of living. So class, the moral is that unless you want to live on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the future, you should turn some paper dollars into gold coins now. How and why is explained in a new book, The Great Debasement. Call the number below for a totally free copy. And that's the simple truth.
Help! If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary?
Oh, yes, that was terrible.
Yes, it was. Help! And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a Medical Alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free Medical Alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
Dozens of wildfires are raging out west. In central Idaho, the Beaver Creek wildfire has burned more than 160 square miles. More than 1,200 people are battling the blaze, including the National Guard, 19 aircraft, and 90 fire engines. 2,300 homes were evacuated, and thousands of others are on standby.
You never stop thinking about, am I going to lose my house?
It's coming down the mountainside right there. So now it's just kind of wait and see what happens. Can't control it.
Other fires are burning near the city of Dallas, Oregon, and in Northern California.
Well, are you an unhappy consumer? If so, you are not alone.
That's right. The Consumer Federation Association recently released its annual top 10 list of consumer complaints, and unfortunately, some industries listed are repeat offenders. Most complaints center around deceptive practices and false promises. Whether it's household goods that just don't do the job they promise to do, online businesses that promise free trial offers that aren't free at all and result in higher charges or fail to deliver goods that were purchased, and department stores that offer items at one price only to charge another.
There was a purchase that I made last week where the price tag was like marked at a certain price, and when I come to cash it out, they were like, oh, it's not for this price. And I was like, well, it kind of says this price. Don't you have to give it to me for that? So it was like $30 more.
The worst on the list are auto dealers. Buyers report being suckered into buying lemons or lured to the lot believing they would get a deal, only to face high-pressure tactics.
Within the last 6 months, I received a promotion, a little promo in the mail saying that if you come in, well, you'll get this kind of discount and this, and it was just a bait and switch, just got you there, and all of the promises that they made, they didn't keep. It was just a hard sale once I got there.
Another big problem consumers reported: shoddy quality and poor workmanship, such as household goods that break easily and are difficult to get repaired. Home improvement and construction companies landed high on the list for doing bad work and even failing to start or finish jobs altogether. And moving and transportation companies landed on the list as well.
We used a moving company that had a high reputation in the D.C. area. Problem is, they say, oh, we have excellent reputation, and they're known. We get our items, and we have a queen 4-poster bed, solid wood, that was broken by them, and they do nothing to repair it.
Other consumer gripes on the Big Ten list include service and billing disputes with phone, cable, and satellite providers, credit card companies with poor customer service in resolving billing errors, and other lenders that employ predatory lending and abusive debt collection practices. even landlords who provide unsafe housing and refuse to fix repairs or engage in illegal eviction practices. Of course, there are those who invade your privacy with phone calls, even if you've signed on to the Do Not Call registry, or even come right to your doorstep to try and sell you their products.
I get tired of vinyl siding companies always coming around, knocking on your door, soliciting their business on a product that you haven't had time to research or don't want.
Experts say the key is research, research, research. Know everything you can about a company before accepting their business. Don't be pressured into making a decision. Get all of the details before you commit, and be sure to check it out if you have any doubts. And it's so unfortunate that the auto dealers are number one on the list every single year. It's amazing.
So you get their act together.
Definitely.
Indeed, they need to.
Stay with us.
Up next, at age 13, he lost his home and his family, but he never lost his faith. Now how this man survived life on the streets to become an evangelist to the nations.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Tariku Fufa was just 13 when his father evicted him from the house for becoming a Christian. Forced to live out on the streets of Addis Ababa, Tariku never gave up hope that God had a plan for his life.
And since then, the Ethiopian evangelist has taken the gospel message from Ethiopia to Zimbabwe. Our own Gary Lane recently sat down with Fufa to hear his amazing story of love, forgiveness, and purpose.
When you were young, you were introduced to Christ. How did that happen?
I was searching for love. At age 13, my older brother, he shared Christ with me. And when he told me about Christ's love, that Jesus loves people, just that time, moment when I gave my life to Christ, and then for the first time, I knew someone who can love me. And then my dad said, Tariku, I give you choice between Jesus and your family. And then he said, choose. And then I said, Dad, I choose Jesus. When I said this, my dad beat me up. My stepmom also, she beat me up. My siblings, they cheered him, saying, Dad, do it, kill him. And then that moment, he even cut my face with his teeth. He shed my blood. And if you watch closely, there are even scars still on my body. That night, he threw me on the street. So from that day, for the next 6 years, I lived on my own most of the years on the street, and life was very hard. And then Lord said after that, I will heal you from this asthma. One day, as I was working in the kitchen, I got suffocated. And I thought that day I was going to die. And then as I was crying, God, I heard the silent and quiet voice of the Lord flowing down into my heart. It's not audible sound, but I could hear it inside. And God said to me, Tariku, my son, don't cry. You are not without help. He said, I will take you to university, and then you will get your degree, and then you put down your degree and move on to share my gospel all over the world in the language that you have never spoken. And then Lord said after that, I will heal you from this asthma. After 6 years of separation, one day my dad showed up at my high school, and then my dad, the first question he asked me was, he said, is this a real Tariku or is this a ghost? And then I reminded him, I said, Dad, you remember 6 years ago when you kicked me out of your home, you said your Jesus never cared for you, you abandoned me, you rejected me, you left me 2 days. But Jesus became my dad. Jesus became my mom. Jesus became my sister, my brother. Jesus became everything I needed in life. When I said that, my dad, he shed his tears, and then he said, son, would you please forgive me? And then I forgave him. He hugged me, he kissed me, and then he said, son, I love you. And that was the sweetest moment as well in my life. And then after that, he invited me back home. Then I went back home, and then when my half-brothers and sisters, when they saw me alive, that day they also gave their life to Christ. And then in my hometown, Jesus was named after my name. People said Jesus of Tariku. And they could really see who really Jesus is in my life. From there, Campus Crusade sent me to Uganda to do my staff training there. And then I came back and started ministry in Ethiopia 11 years ago with 6 students. And then 8 years later, when I was asked now to move to Zimbabwe with my wife, those 6 students multiplied and grown into 7,300. And then staff in Zimbabwe, they pray every year. It was amazing for me to see people praying for 40 days. In 2012 alone, 398 churches have been planted in Zimbabwe.
What should we pray, not only for Ethiopia and Zimbabwe, but other parts of Africa? What do you recommend?
Yeah, I will say just pray for a spiritual revival. We need God's power moving extraordinarily and then supernaturally. And then we've got a lot of challenge. Islam is coming to Africa and is there. When investors come, they also come with their mosque. So pray that all our Muslim brothers and sisters, that they know Christ. Pray that Jesus Christ will be the focus of African people. Pray also for Africa churches and pastors, leaders to come together and then say, this is our time. Let's get up and then send missionaries all over. I hear a lot people saying this is Africa's time, but I really want to see Africa want to begin to send missionaries into other parts of the world. United States, Europe have sent missionaries to Africa, but now we believe it's now Africa's time to send missionaries to all over. So we have a vision of raising over 100,000 African missionaries to go all over, and so pray for that.
Okay, we will. Thank you very much.
Thank you too.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, we will definitely pray.
Hey, what a story.
And his father asked for forgiveness. So touching.
It's like the prodigal son story in reverse.
In reverse,
his father
yes.
went to go find him.
It was the dad, definitely.
Beautiful.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
When you're driving along and your cell phone rings, do your eyes instantly go off the road? Then you need to get a grip. Hi, David Jones here with the new Grip Go, the most versatile hands-free mount that will instantly grip any phone for safe driving. Just attach the suction cup to your windshield or dash, and Grip Go grabs your phone ultra fast. Then it peels right off. And don't worry, there's no sticky residue left behind. The 360-degree pivoting mount allows you to always get the perfect viewing angle. It's even strong enough to grab and hold this expensive smartphone out the window. Yet it comes right right off with ease. That's the advantage of GripGo. You can get the amazing GripGo with dashboard mount for only $14.95. We'll send you a second kit free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Get 2 complete GripGo systems for just $14.95.
To order GripGo for $14.95 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-5259 or order online at getgripgo.com.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes now.
Finally today, a Holocaust survivor is helping a new generation understand what happened when she was a child in Nazi Germany.
That's right. Mark Martin has the story of one woman who's making sure that history is not forgotten.
The opera Brundebar was written for and performed by children. But behind the bright voices lies a dark history. Brundebar was first performed by Jewish children imprisoned in the Terezin concentration camp in Czechoslovakia. One performance was staged for Red Cross inspectors and filmed by the Nazis. The children were later moved to Auschwitz, where they were killed. Ella Weisberger was among the few survivors. She played the role of the cat in the Terezin performance. She now travels wherever Brundebar is performed, explaining how history survives through the music and telling the story of her friends.
This little opera will never die, and you are part of it.
The children of LA Opera Camp say that performing Brundebar has been about so much more than just learning a children's opera.
It's amazing to get inside history like that. You don't normally get that kind of opportunity when you're just studying the Holocaust in school.
Before learning the songs, children learned the history of the children who originally sang them.
Every kid in Los Angeles, in our country, ought to know this story.
More than 50 children from the Los Angeles area spend 2 weeks every summer in opera camp. Mark Martin, CBN News.
Heartwarming story.
Indeed
God
it
bless
is.
them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's going to do it for now on CBN News Today. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com.
Have a marvelous Monday, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com.
Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.